Make sure you subscribe, youtube.com/Raiders Report. If you're not already subscribed to the #1 Raiders channel on YouTube, tell your friends, tell that random homeless guy that you pass every day to work, or tell some guy that you work with. I don't know. D-tip. Subscribe, youtube.com/Raiders Report, the #1 Raiders channel here on YouTube. I need to take a sip. AFC West best quarterbacks in the NFL. So what I want to talk about here is, if you remember in my rumors section, we talked a little bit about the AFCs and having the best quarterbacks. Now, I think this piece was interesting because Patrick Mahomes, Phillip Rivers, Derek Carr, Joe Flacco, right? Like, this is why the Raiders were ranked to have the best quarterbacks in the AFC West. Now, the way that I want this part of the live show to go is I want this to be the most interactive part of the entire show. So I'm going to be showing you guys a lot of options here. I'm going to be showing you guys a lot of weigh-ins, and I want you guys to continually interact with me, okay? So, Patrick Mahomes, Phillip Rivers, Derek Carr, Joe Flacco. These are the quarterbacks that are in the AFC West, and it's one of the reasons why the Raiders were ranked as the best quarterbacks, or the AFC West has the best quarterbacks. So, here are my AFC West quarterback rankings. I got Patrick Mahomes, I got Phillip Rivers, Derek Carr, and Joe Flacco. Now, I'm going to take a sip, and I'm going to let you guys soak that in. How does it make you feel? Does it hurt your feelings? I hope not. That's just, when I'm here on the show, I've been called a homer. I've been called a hater. I'm just doing my job. This is how I'm ranking the AFC West quarterbacks. So, what I want you guys to do right now, if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, rank the AFC West quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes, Phillip Rivers, Carr, and Flacco. I'm going to look down here in the comments section, and I'm going to start shouting some people out who rank these quarterbacks. Mahomes, Rivers, Carr, and Flacco. Now, in the article, it said that the AFC West had the best quarterbacks. So what I want to do is I'm going to break down my rankings for every single division, and then we're going to figure out who actually does have the best division amongst, or best quarterbacks in their division. Does that make sense? Cool. AFC East quarterback rankings. I have Tom Brady as #1. Tuck rule, tuck that. Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, and Josh Rosen. I can promise you that the AFC West does not have the best quarterbacks in the entire NFL. Tom Brady, Darnold, Allen, Rosen. If you guys don't like those rankings, continue to comment below. My AFC North quarterback rankings: Ben Roethlisberger, Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson, and Andy Dalton. Okay, so soak those in. If you think Baker should be ahead of Ben, I get it. I just know what Ben's done. He's done it for a little bit longer. But if you play fantasy football, I'd have Baker ranked higher than Ben. AFC South. This is interesting. Andrew Luck, Deshaun Watson, Nick Foles, Marcus Mariota. Do you guys agree with my rankings? Should Andrew Luck be higher than Watson? Nick Foles, I think, is better than Marcus Mariota. I've seen enough of Marcus Mariota to just be like, all right, man, I'm good on that. Raider Brandon says Carr, Rivers, D-Tip, Mahomes. Love it, Raider. All right, so which AFC division has the best quarterbacks? If you think it's the AFC West, I want you to type W for West. If you think it's East, it's not, type E. If you think it's the AFC North, type N for North. If you think it's the South, type S for South. Which AFC division has the best quarterbacks? I also realized that I kind of screwed up, and if I would have put SNEW, I could have said what's new and have it actually made sense for the first time in Chat Sports history. So, not very happy with me there. All right, but AFC, let's look at the NFC now. This is a really interesting division when it comes to quarterbacks. Russell Wilson, Jared Goff, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Kyler Murray. If Kyler Murray lives up to the hype, really interesting. Jared Goff's been to a Super Bowl. Jimmy Garoppolo has been 8-2, and Russell Wilson's the highest paid quarterback, highest paid player in the NFL. AFC West, maybe they have the best quarterbacks in the entire NFL. But let's look at the NFC East. Oh, God. Oh, ew. Carson Wentz, Dak Prescott, Noodle Arm Eli Manning, and TBD. Because I don't know if it's Dwayne Haskins. I don't know if it's Colt McCoy. I don't know if it's Alex Smith. Probably not Alex Smith. It could be Case Keenum. The Washington Redskins. I think the only team that the Washington Redskins have better quarterback situation is the Denver Donkeys. NFC North quarterback rankings. Aaron Rodgers, no surprise. Then it gets tough for me, man. Like Kirk Cousins, Mitchell Trubisky, Matthew Stafford. You guys know I don't like Matthew Stafford. 0-3 in the playoffs. He can chug a beer better than Rodgers, though. I'll give him that. Mitchell Trubisky, I just don't trust anybody with the name Mitchell. And then Kirk Cousins, I think Kirk is pretty good. But I also don't know if Mitchell Trubisky is all that great either. Like, sure, he got his team to the playoffs, but then he also lost. And I think the Bears team all around him is actually pretty solid. Now, the NFC South has a great argument to be the best division for quarterbacks. I mean, you got Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, Cam Newton, Jameis Winston. I mean, Ryan and Cam both won an MVP 2015, 2016. Drew Brees has never won one, but I think Drew Brees is still a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. And then Jameis Winston was a former number 1 overall pick. The NFC South. So I showed you all the NFC divisions. So which division has the best quarterbacks? W for West, E for East, N for North, S for South. If you want to know who I think, out of all the NFC divisions, I want you to hit me up on IG or Twitter, at Mitchell Renz 365. Somebody says, screw the NFC. Well, guess what? My show. Too bad. I want to know, so I'm seeing a lot of S for South. I'm seeing an F, or an N from Frignado. Dead Raider says West. Raider Boy says South. Mr. Terrell says South. John Williams says North. Monster Money Maynova says South. So, also, if you guys see those links, make sure you click on that because that's also my IG and my Twitter. Which NFC division best for quarterbacks? So I showed you NFC and I showed you AFC. So which division now has the best quarterbacks out of all 8 divisions in the NFL? Which division has the best quarterbacks? If you still think it's the AFC West, type AFC West. It's pretty simple in the comment section. So if you're watching on YouTube, watch it on Facebook, anywhere that you see this video, I want you to type below which division has the best quarterbacks in the entire NFL. As Alicia's pointing to the screen, subscribe, youtube.com/Raiders Report, the #1 Raiders channel here on YouTube, and make sure you guys interact with me on IG and Twitter at Mitchell Renz 365. Dead Raider, you're up. Will our defense rank top 10 in 2019? Dead Raider, I'm going to say no. I would love to say yes. The Raiders have made a lot of improvements, okay? They really have made a lot of improvements, but it's really, really difficult to go bottom 5 to top 10. It just doesn't happen like that, and I think our concentration, Raiders put a lot of concentration on offense. Now, if you ask me, maybe in 2020, 2021, you continue to build this defense, you continue to build a certain mold or a certain scheme that you're trying to go for, which Gruden and Mayock are doing. It's kind of Patriot-esque to me a little bit, but a top 10 defense in 2019, it's a little bit too rich for me. What else do we got here? Make sure you guys subscribe, youtube.com/Raiders Report. I need to stay hydrated, so give me 1 sec here. It's my throat. It's killing me. Screaming too much over the weekend at Matitos. Why do you think we'll be more balanced run-type team this year? Every position on offense seems to be all pass catchers, tight end, running back, wide receiver, slot. I can't see us being a run team, Renz. Well, the reason why I think they're going to be a run team is because they drafted Josh Jacobs, okay, first round. They ran the ball 49% of the time last year out of the run power scheme. And you go out, you get Richie Incognito in the offseason. Also, a lot of the coaches on the inners, it's like, I'm trying to think. Tom Cable said multiple times they're going to try to run the football a little bit more. They're also going to try to keep the defense off the field. And I get it. You add AB, you add Tyrell Williams. But I don't think any team wants to just be super pass heavy. Unless maybe you're like Patrick Mahomes and you're the Chiefs. I think when you look at the Raiders' entire team from top to bottom, when the Raiders were the most successful is when they were the most balanced. And think about the years when Derek Carr threw for 32 touchdowns in 2015, 2016, 28 touchdowns. Like, they didn't have a lot of yards. They were a very balanced team. I think for the Raiders, that's where they need to go. And I think any coach would say we would want to be balanced. So that's ultimately why I think so. Now, again, I'm going to revert back to an old rumor that I did around Rodney Hudson being the best offensive or the best pass blocking center in the NFL. Okay, the best pass blocking center in the NFL. PFF rated him as the best pass blocking center. Oh my Lord, I can't talk. For the 4th straight year. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because we do a lot of talking here about, Tom Cable. We do a lot of talking here about the Raiders' offensive line because they need to be able to protect Derek Carr better. Now, when you look at the entire sample size of what Derek Carr, I think, has had to deal with, and you look at the Raiders' overall offensive line depth chart, you can see from their left side all the way to their right side, they have a pretty solid offensive line. So when I think about Colt Miller, I think about Gabe Jackson, I think about Richie Incognito, Rodney Hudson, Trent Brown. I think their starting offensive line, if everything goes well, is pretty good, right? So, I mean, Colt Miller, high upside. Richie Incognito, can you toughen up Colt Miller for me a little bit? And you got Rodney Hudson, best pass blocking center in the league, Gabe Jackson, Trent Brown. Really, really solid. And that offensive line needs to be able to improve on the numbers. In 2018, where that team gave up 52 sacks, which I'm telling you right now is not what we're trying to do. So, when the Raiders were at their best 2016-2017, they just simply weren't giving up a lot of sacks, and that's really where I think the Raiders need to go to. So, when you look at the entire offensive line, I want to know from everybody who's watching right now, who is the Raiders' worst offensive lineman? We're talking about best? No, I want to know worst offensive lineman. Starters. Only the starters. So Colt Miller, Richie Incognito, Rodney Hudson, Gabe Jackson, or Trent Brown. Who is the Raiders' worst offensive lineman? I'm going to show it to you one more time. Colt Miller, Richie Incognito, Rodney Hudson, Gabe Jackson, or Trent Brown. Who is the Raiders' worst offensive lineman? And I'm going to look down here in the comments section. Somebody says Colt Miller with a C. Okay, John. Somebody else says FC. Jeremy, you're way ahead of me, and I love where you're at right now. Miller time. Somebody says Gabe Jackson. I'm seeing a lot of Colton Millers. Yep, it's looking like it's a lot of Colton Millers. But Jeremy, you're one of my most loyal watchers, so you knew it was coming, right? Anytime we talk offensive line, fire Tom Cable. So if I can get a type FC in the comments section while I hydrate, because I need to be able to get some of this in me, because we got a few more minutes left of the show. Make sure you guys using hashtag Raiders get on the show. But most importantly right now, I need to see some FCs in the comment section. And we're going to go to Jaime. I think I got that right. Jaime, is Tom Cable in the hot seat for 2019? Yes. Tom Cable better be in the hot seat, on the hot seat. I just don't know how this dude still has a job. I don't see how for 12 straight years you can be bad at your job and yet still be employed. I mean, if that's all it takes, Chat Sports, hope you're not watching right now, but I'm going to coast for the next 12 years and see if I can still bring in a paycheck. Just being honest. Ronnie, what's up, my man? Will Incognito be the best player added for the price the Raiders paid compared to any other free agent addition? Could he be? Sure. I mean, you're paying him 1 year, $1.03 million. And if we get a Pro Bowl guard, which he was in 2015, 2017, you can at least make the argument. I'm trying to think of another Raiders player more bang for your buck right now. And to be honest, not many of them coming to mind. So we're going to go to Patrick Sways. Patrick, get a picture. What was up with our team and kickers? We hire, we fire, higher than traded. The same guy last year. What's your take on our guy now, Renz? I like Daniel Carlson. I've been pro Daniel Carlson. I think kicking is one of those positions where it's all about confidence. Carlson was one of the best kickers when you're looking at Auburn. And then he just had a bad run-in. He had like one bad game for the Vikings. They cut him. And now he comes over to the Raiders. And when he was with the Raiders, he was pretty good. I believe he was 15-16 last year in terms of field goals. So Carlson was really good in college. And if he can continue that success going forward, I ultimately like Carlson, but I've been saying that now. I'm going to say for like a solid 5 or 6 months. Make sure you guys subscribe to youtube.com/Raiders Report, the #1 Raiders channel on YouTube. I've been saying that now for about a year and a half. And make sure you guys continue to interact with me on IG and on Twitter at Mitchell Renz 365. All right, another rumor we're getting into is Doug Martin starting at running back. So I talked about this a little bit on my rumors show, and I do not believe that Doug Martin is starting. Some guy who I am not really sure if he's even a real person. He writes for Touchdown Wire. That's probably why you write for Touchdown Wire. Came out and said that Doug Martin's going to be the starting running back for the Oakland Raiders. Then he rated Doug Martin the 31st best running back in the NFL, ahead of Leonard Fournette. I don't think that's true at all. So what I really wanted to talk about is, because the reason why this is ridiculous is because Josh Jacobs is the starting running back for the Oakland Raiders, right? So Josh Jacobs is the guy you should have featured in your article, not Doug Martin. Doug Martin is not going to start for the Raiders. Sure, he might split some time. He had 172 carries last year. He had 723 yards, led the team. But he's not the starting running back for the Raiders. They drafted Josh Jacobs for a reason. Jon Gruden came out and said the main reason why they added Doug Martin was to, help out Josh Jacobs. So, since he ranked the running backs, I want to rank Josh Jacobs and where I think he ranks among the AFC West running backs. I think Melvin Gordon is the clear-cut number 1 running back in this division. I do. But I think Josh Jacobs is number 2, Phillip Lindsay is 3, Damian Williams is 4. Now, I think Phillip Lindsay was a great story. Royce Freeman is also a pretty solid running back who I liked coming out of Oregon. Damian Williams, I think, is talented, but I think he benefited from a scheme. I didn't know if I should put Carlos Hyde on here also, but I think in terms of just overall talent, Josh Jacobs is the second best running back in the AFC West. So, who's the best running back in the AFC West? Are you guys going to stay homers? Are you going to say Josh Jacobs? Or are you going to go with Melvin Gordon, who's actually been one of the better running backs in the entire NFL? So, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, who is the best running back in the AFC West? Now, I got one more question for you, okay? Because I figure it's going to be between Melvin Gordon and Josh Jacobs. So, I want you to think about it long term, okay? Long term. Which running back would you rather have the next 3 years? Okay? Running back for the next 3 years. I want you to type M for Melvin Gordon. I want you to type J for Josh Jacobs. And if you want to know which running back I would rather have for the next 3 years, I want you to hit me up on IG at Mitchell Renz 365. So one more time. Which running back would you rather have the next 3 years? If you're watching this live, this video is going to continue to loop through. I'm going to go into the comments section. I'm going to interact with you. And if I missed any of your questions, please, please, please tweet it at me or hit me up on IG at Mitchell Renz 365, and I'll make sure that I'll answer your questions. Raider Nation, what's going on? Is this the #1 Raiders channel on YouTube? For Chucky Heads, believe it, baby. And if you haven't already, subscribe right here. I'm giving you Chucky Heads news, rumors, Raider Nation rumors. And look at this. I'm making your life easier. Check out my next video. Thanks for watching, and go Raiders.